Recording in progress.
Okay, Dave. That was close to perfect.
Okay, cool. We've done it.
It's quite like, as in, I'm gonna say like a microsecond off. Like there was the slightest delay, but like it was bloody sensational.
Right. This might be my magnum opus.
I also feel like, not that I want to take all the glory here, but I went back.
Push the button.
I went back to pushing the button, and remember the last 2 weeks I haven't, and they've multitasking, try to do that and get the timing right.
But also remember last week when your audio just didn't work for the whole bit of Dave saying recording in progress, and then it came back on. It was almost like the Zoom gods were trying to tell us something that I wasn't interested in hearing.
Get a life.
Oh, that was a Dr. Tackle.
Get a life.
Get a life.
Okay, so this tonight we're having a slightly later chat than usual, which means we've had a couple more wines/gins than usual. But yeah, this week, what did we watch this week?
Watch Pandorum.
Oh my God, do you know the name of this film never sticks in my head, and that is only one of the problems I have with this film. But no, we watched Pandorum.
You know why I remember the name Pandorum? Because it's like Pandora, which is like Pandora Box, which is Pandora Box is a drag queen who was in the most recent All Stars. That's literally how, like, when I was like, what are we watching this week? And I was like, Pandora's Box. Pandora! That's what happened.
Well, Pandora almost sounds like the plural, and like Pandorum would be the singular.
Singular. Yeah. What about like I'm an alumna, but it's
you're an alumnus.
No, alumnus is singular, but I'm an alumna because I'm a girl.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, someone called me an alumna once. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. And it's Pandora's box possessive, isn't it?
Oh, okay, now it's too hard. Anyway, so what do we watched Pandorum?
Yes.
Yes, watch Pandorum.
You chose this film. It's from, did we work out the
Just get that in early.
Yep.
Just get that in early that I chose this film.
And it was from 2009?
Yeah.
I think.
And boy, does it look like it.
Mm?
I don't mean anything by that. It just really looks like a number of films.
To me, it was like if the following films had a big communal baby, they were. So, like now I can't remember the name of any film.
Event Horizon.
Okay, so Event Horizon.
The Descent.
Okay, Event Horizon, The Descent, and then fucking Resident Evil and fucking Alien, and you just like mixed them all in like a big thing, and it vomited out a 2009 movie.
And it was produced by W.S. Anderson, who did do the Resident Evil films.
Okay, well that makes sense. But yeah, so Event Horizon is like one of my favorite films ever, like ever, as in like rewatch it at least too many times a year. And so I started watching it and I was like, ooh, we're in space, and ooh, and then I was just like, I've seen this movie, and then I was like, oh wait, no, I've seen this movie, and I was like, no, I've seen this movie, and it was just all the movies wrapped into one. But anyway, let's talk about it in.
Yeah, like, and I think this was a very obvious Dave choice. You know, it was sci-fi horror.
Definitely.
I mean, I love a sci-fi horror, but yeah, I'd never heard of it, Dave. That's what I was going to ask you.
I hadn't either. I came across it, I think, in an article about sci-fi horror, and it was one I hadn't seen, and I was like, I'm going to slot that in there.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad you did. Like, I'm glad I've seen it, but I wouldn't need to watch it again.
Yeah. I neither loved nor hated it. There were things
I didn't hate it at all, but it's that one. I was literally sitting there when I was watching it, and I was just like, this is like, I don't hate this. I don't love it. Like I'm glad I'm watching it, and then like I probably won't watch it again. That's verbatim what happened in my mind.
So should we summarize the film?
Yes,
go for it.
In some way. So to summarize the film, a young corporal wakes up on a spaceship, apparently abandoned with no memory,
and he walks about in his pants for quite a long time.
Walks about in his pants,
and his package is like, that's not like. I mean, but all I'm saying is just like, I don't believe a flaccid penis makes that much bulk.
I love how, like, I was just going to comment on torso, like, that's all. But
all I saw was like this giant like mass in his like tidy whities, and I was like, don't think that's real.
I was looking above the waist, and I was no less upset with how much there was.
I mean, he'd just woken up.
Oh, okay.
So you know how.
Sure, yeah.
I gather that's a thing, right?
That's a thing.
Yeah, he just woken up, and then it was starting to go down, but it hadn't quite. It just made a very bulky package in his. But yeah, he had no clothes on for a large many a minute.
Which was fine.
He had a very good physique here as he looked after himself when he was
fucking ripped. This guy
in space hibernation.
And he woke up. So he woke up. No, so before we come to him, there's a scene where, you get a lot of intro.
Ben Foster, that's the guy whose willy and physique we're talking about.
But look, before we get to him though, we do get those lines. And his willy. But we do start off with a bit of chat about people going off into space. Some text. You get some screen text
that's right.
of the various shows saying that
summarizes the things that happened on the planet for us, right? This is when we fucked this up. This is when this happened. And then this is when we launch people into space because we've fucked up everything on Earth and we need to colonize another planet. And we found one and we stuck a bunch of people in a spacecraft and we've shot them off because we've run out of oxygen and food water and food.
Overpopulated world, running out of resources. They've been exploring space. They found a planet that has very similar properties to Earth.
Called Tanis. Called Tanis.
Yes,
I used to get with someone at university called Tanis. I don't have anything.
Was she a planet?
She was not a planet. In any way, she was a very normal person from Northampton.
Tanis the human, not to be confused with Tanis the planet. Yeah,
exactly.
So we have that intro, and then there's a bit before we get to your dudes with torso / package.
Your dude, Dave.
Your dude.
My dude.
He's now yours. I've given him to you.
Ben Foster. And his Billy.
It's deteriorating massively. So also, we get that opening scene with the 3 crew where it's being made apparent to them that what's the line? God bless, good luck, whatever.
Yeah, it's not quite like you are our only hope, but
Godspeed. God bless and Godspeed.
Basically, we find out at the very start of the film that this ship with all these people in it is all that's left of humankind. And good luck. And then we come to your dude. My guy, Ben
Foster. He comes out of his little thing and he's all shocked.
And can I say, Ben Foster, my guy, his belly, huge. Just unnecessarily commendably large.
I just feel like this is going to be a 2-hour Zoom.
Look, if he's my guy, I'm owning this. He's doing a good job for all of mankind. At this point, he's 1/16,000th of the rest of humanity, and a good chunk of that is in his pants.
Oh dear.
So he wakes up, and before he kicks about in his pants for quite some time.
Not even that long, seconds. But we've talked about it for considerably longer than it happens in the film.
All I'm saying is
massive.
When Dennis Quaid wakes up, he gets dressed much more quickly.
Yeah, he does. He's real sensible.
We don't linger on Dennis Quaid.
We don't. And to be honest, I'm somewhat grateful. I'm being a little bit ageist now, and I apologize, but I'd rather be looking at your dude, Dave.
Your Ben Foster.
Anyway. So before he's thrown about awake, we get this glimmer of a dream he's having, a memory or whatever, and it's a woman, very attractive woman, waking up and him sort of gazing at her, and then we get that flash, and then he's on his own, kicking about the ship, and he can't really remember.
No. So there's kind of an indication that he's alone. He seems a bit bewildered. It's a little bit much that maybe this is not the way that one is to wake up from a deep space sleep.
Yes.
But he seems to be doing okay.
Yeah.
Kicking about for a matter of hours, I guess. And then Big Dennis wakes up.
Yeah, he goes and he wakes up Big Dennis. I think he wakes up Big Dennis. who turns out to be, well, he works out his own name by looking at the front of his pod.
That's right. That's right. And because he opens, like he's got there's all this stuff, and he sees the photo. Is that what makes him remember?
Yeah.
No, that's just a different.
He has a flashback, and then he finds the photo.
Of the woman.
Yeah, and then he sees Lieutenant Peyton's pod, so he knows that this is a superior. He knows that he's a corporal. He knows that this is his superior, and wakes him up.
And the things that he remembers, like, so for all he can't really remember who he is, what he's doing, he still has his knowledge of what his role is on the ship, and also he seems to still have his technical knowledge.
Yeah, he seems to remember how technical stuff works.
To a point, but he doesn't remember the cranky thing when the power...
No, he doesn't.
But we can come to that. So anyway...
And he doesn't remember things about his wife and other people's wives until it's convenient for the plot.
Yes. So anyway, Dennis Quaid gets woken up. Do you know, I just can't, because right, so Sophie, what I'm going to say about the start of this film is, like, for quite a long time things seem to be quite high stakes and concerning, but I was so bored, so very, very bored for at least 15-20 minutes. So again, probably, you know, even when, what's happening? What are we doing? So he wakes up.
I just rode the wave of Bobby Joy for that whole time.
That's where I went wrong. I was smoking too much in the torso. So like, he's trying to get Dennis Quaid to kind of take command as he should.
Yeah, so they're trying to take command. So the reason, if they can get to the bridge, then they can take control of the ship, and they can sort everything out and figure out where they are and what's happening.
And there's a lot of, like, power surges. So there's clearly something going on with the power. But this is the bit that kind of entertained me that your dude couldn't remember, was like, you know what? Like, we've got backup ways of having power. If you just crank this wheel, we can have power. And it's like, I kind of think you would remember that if you're remembering all your technical stuff. But still, anyway, so they have some power, but then they work out, like, so they're on their own. Yeah. They can't leave. So the door is blocked.
They need to get the door to the bridge open.
Yeah, so the door to the bridge is blocked, and then because we've had the power surges, we decide to send Dave's guy
Dave's guy
down into the reactor.
Presumably with his willy.
with his willy, but now he's closed. He's fully closed at this stage.
So he's going to go in the ceiling. And down to the reactor.
Down the reactor to sort it out, while Dennis Quaid mans the small thing they have working, and he wants to get the door open so he can get to the bridge.
That's right. So I think initially we want the door to the bridge open. I think the reactor becomes a thing later.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When
he kind of remembers that it's... So eventually at some point he remembers that the reactor...
Because he went in there, because I thought that was the power surges. I thought that was right, like, from the word go, he's like, I can fix this. I just need to get, like, down into the ship. Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Yeah, so at some point he decides he's going to the reactor.
Okay. Yeah.
He needs to go to the reactor because there are these power surges where everything switches on, and he's going to switch everything. He's going to reset the reactor.
Yeah.
And that's going to stop the power surges and allow them to open the doors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because at some point, because this is, they're only together for quite a short time.
Yeah, they are.
So
and they're talking on the phone.
Yeah, they're chatting a lot together. But they do have a discussion about Pandorum before he disappears, because they have that together in person. So, like, the name of the film does come up as, you know, quite an important thing. So
I thought that's when he had already seen something, and then he was just like, have you ever heard of Pandorum? And then Dennis Quaid is just like, why are you trying to make me remember, like, the worst thing ever? And they talk about something that happened in another ship, and Pandorum's this, like, space sickness where you see stuff, and the guy had seen all the stuff and basically ejected everyone out into space.
It's space madness from Ren and Stimpy is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was when he had already got, because that's when he was, like, trying to navigate to somewhere, and then he thought he saw something, and he ran and he hid, and then he was talking.
Oh yeah, because his hand starts to shake. He says, do you know anything about Pandorum?
And then it's like, why would you talk to me about this? It's very distressing.
Yeah, they have quite an awkward exchange.
Oh, so does he come back and then go away again?
No, he doesn't come back. Okay, this is just over the radio. They're communicating.
Oh, okay, remotely. It's just over the radio. Okay. All right.
There was a radio at some point.
Yeah, I think. No, yeah, I think it's after he left Karen. So I think you're right. They have this like short period of time together, but I think the Pandorum conversation first happens like after he's left. He's gone through some stuff. He's seen.
Makes more sense. So your guy is climbing into this tunnel full of tubes. Full of tubes, and it's quite dark and quite distressing. But he's got a green torchy. You know, like one of those like things.
He's got a massive glow stick.
He's got a glow stick.
He's got like the biggest glow stick in the world. Do you know what it is? It's literally like a phallus. It's a dick-sized glow stick.
So, well, if
you're showing, I forgot. It's pretty big. It's a big dick glow stick.
Glow stick. That's a large glow stick.
So anyway, he's crawling through this tunnel. He's getting a bit panicky, understandably, because all he's got is this massive glow stick, and all of these tubes surrounding him, and he's getting a bit tangled. And he's got Dennis Quaid doing a very good job of trying to keep him calm. Yeah. Chatting in his ear, going, "No, you're doing all right, and just calm down. Just calm down. Keep going."
Yeah, you're doing a good job, Ben Foster.
And then he continues, and then he falls.
Yeah, he has a wee fall.
Into his face. Onto a grate.
Finds a dead body.
Yeah.
And he can't even react because he's on his face in the grate. So there wasn't even like a scream or anything. It's just like face stuck, I'm contorted, and there's gross dead thing here.
And then it's about this point, he gets out of there, and it's about this point that we first encounter the space ninjas.
Yep.
So he finds a body suspended from the ceiling.
Yeah, that's not normally what you'd find.
And he discovers the crews are in threes. So they're supposed to be in a sequence of looking at the ship, teams of 3.
Yeah.
And his lieutenant's third was missing. They found his tube, but there was no one in it. And seeing the name on that outfit, it seemed like it was their third, I think. Certainly it was a name that we'd seen before.
That was the dead body, not the strung up body. Yeah.
Cooper.
The dead body, not the strung up
body. Yeah, the dead body that he was like, all right, so that's Cooper.
Yeah.
And then he manages to get out of the grate. And it turns out he's in a shoe cupboard.
No, I think
it's a boot closet.
Later.
No, that's where he ends up when he falls out the grate. He's in a boot cupboard. Because I remember there were a few things I cared about, but he was in the shoes.
Okay. So we encounter a body strung up from the ceiling, and he approaches it because it's strung up from the ceiling, and that's unusual. And
he's unusual, even for space.
Attacked by
space ninja.
Female space ninja.
Very hostile. Very hostile.
Tells him to take his shoes off.
Yeah.
And then we're interrupted. We're interrupted by some blue light wielding monsters from the descent.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And they made a good sound. I quite like that.
Quite like the monsters from the descent.
Like the monsters from the descent. And actually, Sophie, this is so right the way up to this point, really bored. Like really bored. And then I don't even know if it was just like Dennis Quaid being calm, chatting to us. I just didn't care. Just did not care. But then they've got this sort of monstery sound and then these flashes and I'm like, okay, so we've got the dudes with a green strobe light, green thingy, party light are good, but the blue lights are bad.
Blue light's bad.
Blue light's bad. And then they were making a cool descent kind of noise and I was like, oh, is this film going to be like the descent in space? That's quite exciting. But yeah, they were quite vicious, I guess.
Yeah, so they're kind of scary, and where it's kind of implied that they're scary by the fact that they seem scary.
Yeah, they seemed pretty scary for sure.
Ben Foster has a wee hide.
Yeah, he has a wee hide.
There's a wee hide from them, which seems like the wise thing to do. And then it seems like they're going to get him, but in fact they get Cooper. They get the dead body and drag it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I can't remember what happens.
I was just like, as you're saying this, I was like, I know, like I watched this last night and I feel like I get to the point where like, yeah, I've forgotten chronologically who he meets, when, where.
I think he must then go to explore still.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't go back, and he can't really go back because he would have to climb through all those tubes again, I guess. But then does he not find someone else hanging up when he's exploring?
Yes.
But this is someone that it turns out, this person hanging essentially is bait, which we later discover, like bait for these monsters. And he is still alive. And tells him that, you know, but he cuts him down.
Yes.
He cuts this other membership crew that is not a monster. He cuts him down and tries to help him. This dude gets very angry with him because he doesn't know what the hell is going on. And he's like, you've only been awake for what, 3 hours? You don't have a clue. You're useless to me. And at that point, I'm like, yes, seeming quite useless. Package aside, he seems quite useless in this so far.
Well, his package isn't out at this point, so it's not apparent to people how useful he can be.
Yeah, like what his pros and cons are. What are his strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah. The pros column is
package.
Tucked away.
It is tucked away.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of cons flying at people, and they're just like, what am I going to do with this man of cons?
Yeah.
So
when does he meet the people? And then when does Dennis Quaid meet the guy?
Well, no, oh my God, this is crazy.
he meets this other guy and nothing much comes of it.
No, the monsters come back, and I think they break up.
Yeah, they do, and then they break up, and then he's somewhere, and then he gets attacked by the woman again, and then the other guy comes back. Or am I like 12 scenes ahead?
Okay, no, right. My understanding. Oh my God. So the mechanic is raging with him, the one that was hanging up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, I am 7 scenes ahead. Yeah.
And then he does encounter the farmer.
The farmer, yeah, that's what I was confused.
That's the guy who's actually got something.
Yeah, so he's sneaking away. He's trying to be quiet because, we keep hearing the sounds of the descent in space monsters.
Yeah.
But he finds this farmer, and this is again one of the most frustrating scenes to watch because one of the issues is the farmer doesn't speak English, which is fine, but seems to understand English. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of communication going, or presumption on your dude's part that this dude understands him. So even though he doesn't understand him, it's almost like, you know, when a loud English-speaking person goes to like Spain and just speaks louder and louder when they're like, but I want beer. Give me beer. Like, so he
reactor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, that's one of the words that this guy reacts to, and I'm like,
that's not one of the few English words that I would learn if I didn't speak.
No. You know, and as someone who's like tried to learn many languages, like that's not on your priority list.
No,
especially
I know
as
that,
a farmer.
Yeah, I know that the French for apple is pomme. I don't know what reactor is in French.
But look,
reactor. I don't know. I just made that up.
No, I think it's actually acteur encore.
You're fired, Dave, for that joke.
Actually, you're both reminding me of Don't Look Now, though, when Donald Sutherland only learned sufficient Italian for work Italian. So maybe this dude has work English.
But he's a farmer.
But he's a farmer. He doesn't have to do with the ship. His idea, once they get there, he starts farms. Isn't that the idea?
Again, he's a farmer and also a ninja.
Yeah, he's like very skilled at hand-to-hand combat for a farmer, which I like.
Has a spear.
Yeah, and like I don't want to say that like I'm being dismissive of all farmers' hand-to-hand combat experience and prowess, but he seems to be very skilled in hand-to-hand combat.
Look, I actually
as a farmer.
I'm going with that because I was thinking, right, if this dude was a farmer on Earth, where resources are becoming really difficult to come by, and you're actually protecting crops on Earth when there might be scavenging people around, I can actually believe.
Okay, but
like it's like samurai farmer maggot being like, yo, hobbits, stay out of my fucking crops,
or I'll slash you in the jugular.
Yeah.
But we've got, he's not the only ninja. We've also got female space ninja who we learn as a geneticist.
Yeah, I can't explain that. But
right, so I skipped ahead, but now we're ahead again.
No, come back to me. So what we only, so this dude can't speak to him, and we only know that he is in agriculture and probably shouldn't, because they have tattoos, that indicate at what point they should be awake in the rotations in the ship, because the ship is going to take 123 years to get to
that sounds right.
Panis. And so they're going to have rotations. The planet. So they're going to have rotations so that people can go back in their wee sleepy land and then get up and do their thing. So this dude, we know that he wasn't necessarily in his rotation, but also it was in agriculture because of his tattoo. So all he learned about this dude is from his tattoo. And yet the pair of them have this bond, fine. And off they go. But then I think he encounters...
They encounter a female ninja, and female ninja and agriculture ninja have a fight.
Yeah.
But you were right in the beginning, Karen. So he meets agriculture, then monsters come, they split up. Then he's going on, and then he encounters female ninja, and then agriculture ninja comes back to save his ass because he's being beaten up by female ninja, and then they had this like little fisticuffs. Yeah. So that's where I'd skipped ahead 12 scenes. Now we're back. So it's like great.
And then it was. So once the three are all together, it's almost like your dude's like be cool, everyone.
We're all mates, and everyone's like, oh my god, we're all mates. You're right.
Yeah, you are all mates. I don't understand what you're saying, except when you say reactor. But yes, cool, we're all mates.
This woman who tried to kill me, I won't hurt her anymore.
Awesome.
So she doesn't really want to join them, and I can kind of understand. She doesn't really want to join them. She has been doing her own thing, but then they get into chat about how your man is kind of senior and can make the ship do what it needs to be doing, and actually could she help him, because for all he can make the ship work, he can't get to where he's going because he has no idea where he's going. So can she, who knows the ship and can speak English, can she actually take him to the reactor? And she's very reluctant, and we discover why, in that heading to the reactor, you're getting more into the domain of space descent monsters.
Yeah.
And so they then wander together, and they end up in a kind of area that's got a bunch of pods from, I think, more crew. It's definitely more crew. It's not. So the other thing to keep sort of saying is that the Bauer character, your dude,
Ben Foster,
keeps coming up to like, what about my partner? Like, so he's established that woman that he woke up thinking about is his partner, girlfriend, wife, whatever.
She's got to be somewhere on the ship, and it's like, okay, if she's not here as like personnel, like where are like the family members, or like where would she be on the ship? I have to find her.
And so his priorities keep shifting between what's for the greater good with the ship, and also what's good for him finding his partner. And, you know, while he could still hear Dennis Quaid, he was kind of like, well, you know, you need to do the ship stuff. But what we haven't also mentioned at this point was like, he's no longer easily able to communicate with Big Dennis because, I don't know.
It just keeps cutting out.
Cuts out. Bad mobile reception.
At what stage does the gooey man come out of the pipes at Dennis?
I feel like not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
So, because then the tension's building, because they're in this area where she's like, oh yeah, like this is actually where the monsters come in for their feasts, because it turns out that these descent type space monsters are eating the crew members.
Yeah.
Yes. And we also learned that she's a geneticist, and she's protecting the Earth's biome, basically. They've got a Earth's biome that they're taking to this planet Tanis that they're going to, not the person. And they're going to like seed that world.
Yeah, they're Noah's Arking it. She's got
she's
full of everything.
She's been super protective of that, keeping it going.
But okay, why is she a ninja?
I don't have anything for that.
Have you ever been a woman in STEM, Dave? You've got to learn to defend yourself.
She does that. Like,
yeah.
She's got a real curvy blade, and she does flips and stuff.
All I'm saying is you've never challenged Karen nor I to hand-to-hand combat. And if you did, just be scared, my friend.
All right, I will be.
And again...
That was really loud.
It's really loud. If you do it onto your voice box, I feel like it makes it sound louder. I don't know if that's true, but that's something that's always true in my head.
And again, we don't know what's happened on Earth over like the 100 or so years before they get on this ship, right? So how much more challenging has it been to get scientific funding? And has it become like a Hunger Games type affair, or, you know, like fight to the death for the slim pickings? And
After I watched this last night, I then watched Hunger Games because it came up as a suggestion on my Netflix. God, that's a rip-off of Battle Royale. I always forget that. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry.
She's fed him some crickets. She's protecting.
Yeah, they're eating
the crickets that are giving you protein.
Yeah. Maybe she bred extra so you could eat them.
I think so. I think you need to eat something.
It's like these are the pantry crickets.
No.
Yeah.
These are not the seeding crickets. These are the pantry crickets.
That's right.
So look, they're in this little.
You can tell by their accent.
They're in this little area where they want to travel through quickly. Is this when we see Dennis Quaid's wife's pod?
No, I don't know.
So the other thing I should mention, when we talk about Pandorum, again, it's confusing as hell, but early on, Bauer asks Quaid, like, where are our partners? Where's your wife? Because he's like, you know, you have a wife, what's going on? And like, he's quite dismissive of it, kind of like, what, my wife? Oh, yeah, no, they're somewhere, kind of thing. Yeah. So there is a moment that I got.
I'm not dismissive in the way that you'd hope, which is like, well, I don't remember anything, I might be gay.
Yeah. But more in a, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have a wife, what? So that was a little bit weird and convoluted, and I didn't really get the point. And then later on, I still couldn't get the point, and I'll come back to that. But yeah, so there is a moment where they see a pod where it's got the name of like Dennis Quaid's wife, and something twigs with this dude, but all very confusing. But anyway, that aside, they're stoating about, and they end up realizing that they have to hide because the monster dudes are coming back. And then we have another kind of dissenting moment just between female geneticist ninja and your man, where they're underwater, like geeking out, and they're in a kind of gory, sewery thing of water with corpse bits.
Yeah, I couldn't work out if it was meant to be a sewer. I was like, is this just like a water thing? And then it was just like, it's got body parts, but it looks like real chunky. It was just gross. It's not the place you want to be ever.
Yeah.
And so they're hiding under, it's like they're in a vent or something, but they're they're hiding below the floor as these monsters are coming in. And you can just see all this gore around them and all these different bits of body parts. And it's like, oh yeah, they've been like feasting on this stuff. Where is our other ninja, agriculture ninja, at this point? He's not there with them.
Oh, he was hunting or something.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets left behind at this point.
Okay.
For the plot.
Okay. Now I'm totally lost. I can't remember what happens now.
So they're still trying to get to the reactor.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
The monsters come in.
Yeah.
They manage to get away. And there's that really, like, one of the monsters I quite liked visually. The big, one of the main monsters. Scully monster with painted face.
They get out of, they must get out of the venti thing. The gore. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Action-packed sequence where they beat to death one of the scary things.
Yeah, okay.
Which was quite fun.
There's also another moment that really annoys me in this scene because they do manage to escape, all three of them, and Bauer has a go at her by saying, I thought you knew where you were going, and she's like, I'm just trying to get us safe. Like, they were essentially running away from the monsters, and he is radio with her because she hasn't taken him to. That really annoyed me because at that point I had decided, again, package aside, that Bauer was pretty useless beyond he can help us when we get to the the reactor, because I felt like those two were ninjas, were looking after him, were, you know, and he was just taking charge, and he's giving her a hard time because they got away, and it's like, so why are we not at the reactor already?
That's after they kill. So they kill one of the monsters with Agriculture Ninja. And then lots more monsters come. And they run away, and the lots more monsters eat the monster that they've just killed.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm back on track, I think.
It's a little bit important in retrospect. And then they run away and they hide behind this door that they can seal, and they encounter Leland the cook.
Yes.
Who's a little bit kooky.
A little bit crazy.
And he's keeping his distance from them.
Yeah, he's way up high. And he's there to conveniently explain exactly what's going on.
1,000%, well before this has happened, the gooey man has come out of the pipes of Dennis Quaid, because there's a scene that happens in conjunction with an explanation, and that character has already been well established.
You're absolutely right.
I think you're right. I think maybe that's when Gallo comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, covered in shit.
This is what's happening with Dennis Quaid.
This has happened a while ago, because I feel like there's like a build up to, because it's this scene with Leland that we do the big reveal kind of simultaneously, but it means that they've had to have been like chatting for a while.
There was a long time when Dennis Quaid was mostly going, hello?
Yeah.
You hear me? Hello? And didn't have much to do. And you
It was a long time when
it.
the movie kind of like was giving Dennis Quaid things to do, because Dennis Quaid didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, and like, we got Dennis Quaid for this. We best use him. He's costing us a pretty fucking penny.
Yes, that's kind of the vibe that I got.
So eventually he has something to do, because this dude's covered in crap.
Yeah.
Slimy brown crap.
Did you recognize the guy?
Is it Channing Tatum?
No. He was one of the vampires in Twilight. He was also in Easy A. Like, I saw him and I was like, every other movie I've seen this man in is not at all like this movie. And from then on, I couldn't take him seriously. I was like, you were James in Twilight. And then it was like, Easy A, he was the one who was in a relationship with, what's her name from, she was in She's the Man, Amanda.
God, he's been in loads of things.
None
of which I've seen.
I don't know who he is.
But he was in, what's her, Amanda? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so it's like the movies I've seen him in, there's like it's like the new Easy A, i.e. like the new Mean Girls. And then Twilight, which I watched, after I got my big Everyone's Too Mean to Robert Pattinson high horse, and I watched all of his filmography. Anyway, so it meant that everything from then, when he came out, and I was like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? And I was like, oh my God, it's that guy. Couldn't take that character seriously ever again.
I feel like that was partially the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he came out, and he's some guy who's been awake for a while.
Yeah. Very upset. He's come from the bridge, he claims.
That's right, yeah.
Even though he's like naked.
He's like naked and was like just like spooning tubes in the wall.
Spinning tubes in the wall, and he comes out, and Dennis Quaid's gonna batter him, and then he's like, help me. Because he's just a slimy hand. He's like, help me, and he pulls him out, and he's like, I just came from the bridge, you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And Dennis Quaid's like, why? Tell me. And he can't, because he's hysterical. And then we cut away.
Yeah. Can I ask us to return a little bit to Pandorum, though, in the story of Pandorum? Because I feel like there were other bits, other than all this chaos with the monsters and the space ninjas, where both Dennis Quaid and your man were having moments where it's like, are they having Pandorum? Because it was either shakiness or weird stuff. And so I think for all, it was weird because Pandorum still didn't really seem to be that big a deal. It was possible that one or both of our two main protagonists had Pandorum. That was always at the back of the mind. And so returning to whenever the hell that conversation was between your man and Dennis Quaid, they talked about a previous experience that Dennis had where, or was aware of, where there was Pandorum, and the ship's captain had been convinced that there was a problem. So the Pandorum thing was like when you've been in space for a long time and you go a bit space crazy, was my understanding.
It's space madness.
Space madness. And so
which is not a thing.
He had ended up pushing a button so that everyone was just sent out.
Everyone was ejected.
Were just ejected. And so they were just floating to their deaths in space, like all in their own little pods. So that had already been raised and then put to one side. And then we had a bit of a, this could be a thing. And then both of our main characters were having moments of like, what the hell's going on? Or like shakiness or, I don't know, weird stuff. So then we have your slimy dude and Dennis Quaid and it's
Wait, is it Dave's slimy dude as well? Dave, you've got the slimy dude and the main dude.
Fine as well.
All of Dave's dudes.
Cam Gigandet, which is also a great name. Don't know what his willie's like. It's not revealed.
No.
But I'll take him. I'll have him.
I'm basically giving you everyone in this film because I really disliked it. But anyway, let's so
now that we've gone back, now we're at the thing where we've met the cook and we've got this, and then there's like the biggish reveal.
yes.
Biggest reveal. So the cook has been awake for a long time and reveals that what has happened is that one of the lieutenants, on getting the news that Earth was destroyed, went a bit mental and killed the two people who were remaining, and then started to wake people up on the ship.
Yes.
Started to wake people up on the ship and basically hunt them or fight them or basically create this very adversarial environment. And it's either at this point or in reference to it. I think geneticist lady also tells us earlier, like in relationship to what these space monsters from Descent are. Basically, they've all been given this compound in their blood. Yeah. Causes them to evolve and adapt to their environment. And because these people have been woken up and then stayed awake for a long time on the ship, they've adapted to this environment on the ship.
Yeah, the whole idea is like we get to the new planet and like we're colonizing it and like we got to evolve to like this new planet like ASAP. But then because they got prematurely woken up, they're evolving to the situation where they're playing like a hunting game with other human beings.
Which, like, we've talked a lot of shit about this film. That's quite a good idea. Like, that is quite.
I liked that bit. I genuinely, so that I remembered that quite crisply because I was like, yeah, that's like, you know, we've evolved on fucking planet Earth for all of this time. Now we're on a new planet. Things going to be a little bit different. Maybe it's not significant. Maybe it is. We don't know. Let's kickstart that evolution.
Yes.
Here's my question. Does that exist? Can I have a pill that kickstarts my evolution if I were to go live in the ocean?
I don't think it does, and if I don't think
Just
so.
Just checking. That's fine, Dave. You don't need to know the answer. It was just...
You're all as qualified as me. I don't know why I'm the person with this answer.
I
don't do biology ever.
Okay, I'm going out on a limb and I'm saying there's no pill that makes you evolve.
Look, I think that's probably
also if evolution doesn't happen that way. Evolution happens when you die and reproduce or don't reproduce.
That's true. Yeah.
And have we discovered by this point that they are reproducing?
I don't know, but it's not.
That's a little bit. I think that's a little bit later because I feel like that's after it all. You know, so Leland's telling us this stuff, and then some shit goes down. And I think it's like after the next time we encounter some bad. Yeah.
So we've
had descent alien monsters that we discover they've been reproducing.
We've encountered Leland to advance the plot.
Yeah, and he feeds us, which is good because we're hungry.
Yes, he feeds us with plot information because we're hungry, and then he also tries to feed himself. So he floods the area that they're in with gas, and they pass out. And then they wake up upside down.
Because it turns out that not only has he been surviving on like the leaking water and like the moss that's been growing as a result, also people when he can. Don't eat the liver. No, that's dogs. Don't eat a dog's liver. Too much vitamin A. You go nuts.
Oh yeah, I was not aware of that.
I learned that when I was learning about Antarctica in primary school, and I don't think that was really the point of the module, but that was the thing that stuck with me. All those people, they ran out of food, they ate their dogs, but the ones that ate the liver, too much vitamin A, went crazy, took their clothes off, ran around, died.
Oh yeah, I think you're not supposed to eat polar bears either because they've got nasty parasites.
Okay.
By the same ticket.
When we do the next episode of the Dead Don't Kill Teleconference live from Antarctica.
Hey, we'll definitely get Grant to do that.
So they wake up hanging upside down because the chef has gassed them because he wants to eat them.
Leland can eat them. It's not personal. He's just surviving.
That's what he says, basically verbatim, yeah.
And Ben Foster convinces him not to eat them.
Yeah, he's a real good
by pointing out that the changes in the way that the reactor is behaving indicate that the reactor is about to shut down forever and ever. So if they don't reset it now, they'll never get the opportunity to, and the electricity will go out and presumably they'll all die.
Yeah.
And Leland's like,
well, first is like, how long, like when is that going to happen? Give me like a ballpark time. And then he's like, an hour, and he's like, all right, I'll cut you down.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
this seems important.
Yeah,
It wasn't like, oh, weeks. I'll just gnaw at your calf muscle until I decide it's time to let you go. Like, it was very bizarre.
Won't be needing this. So yeah, he cuts them down, takes their weapons, and they start making their way towards the reactor again.
And then do we jump back to our man,
Quaidy McGee.
Quaid, where he's getting increasingly worried about this other dude's mental state, and he's kind of like,
him in the neck.
Yeah, and so Lieutenant Gallo, who's the other,
Lieutenant.
the guy, the slimy man.
So Lieutenant Gallo
Who's
was they're all yours. Was he the fire lieutenant, or it doesn't really matter? But certainly it was a different.
He was in they do tell us which group he was in. He was meant to be in an earlier group. He was in like 4 or something.
Yeah.
There's only 6. I don't know.
Yeah. So he makes several references to Pandorum, aka Space Madness, and the fact that he was on the bridge and both of his superior officers exhibited the symptoms at the same time. And so he had to defend himself.
Yes.
And makes several references to the fact that Dennis Quaid must think he's crazy because how would 2 people get it at the same time? And Dennis Quaid clearly does think this, but is trying to talk this guy down. Yeah, as you say, prepares a sedative. And Gallo kind of says, well, maybe you should take it easy, and maybe you should take the sedative yourself.
Good comeback.
Foreshadowing. Yeah, and then something else happens in space.
Yeah, we return to our people are aware, our space ninjas are kind of deaf, and your man
Penny Ben
are still trying to make their way to fix the reactor, and as they were going to go across, the bridge collapses that takes them across to the entry to the reactor, I guess. And
the bridge is over like a creepy alien sex nest.
Cuddle puddle.
Cuddle puddle.
I think it's a cuddle puddle.
What we went with.
It's a Silicon Valley thing.
Cuddle puddle.
Yeah, it's not sexual, apparently.
Are you sure?
Nope.
Okay. Anyway.
Not until Ben Foster gets there.
So there's there's a lot of these mutants, and they're all sleeping.
They are sleeping, actually. They weren't sexing them.
And so they're all being kind of quiet. Our Chefy McGee is kind of hanging in the back. He's really not been involved in this, but still on standby in case a meal comes his way. Agriculture Ninja is holding the bridge when it's
like for a really long time, like a heavy bridge with like the body weight of people on it, and it's just like he's strong.
And your man falls down to like a second platform that's still above the sleeping mutants, but he's still hanging, and Genetic Ninja manages to make her way across the entrance of the reactor. They can't really do much there. Needs your man. And also, no one can really speak very loudly or do anything because they might wake up the cuddle puddle of mutants. So then your man,
my man,
falls into the mutants and
wraps himself up.
Oh yeah, and the gore, because he found out earlier on from the dude that didn't live very long that they smell it. So he makes himself smell like them by wrapping himself in their gore and their
rags,
and he starts like stepping gingerly over mutants
through the cuddle puddle,
over the cuddle puddle, almost like just kind of on top of people, monsters, like just on them,
little spots, hands and feet.
So as he is climbing up, I think something happened. Anyway, there's a noise, or maybe the bridge, maybe our agriculture ninja.
I don't know. What happens is Leland the cook drops his flashlight.
Oh, that's what it is. He's frustrating. That is so frustrating. I remember now, because you're like
nothing, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm now going to make it much worse than it needs to be when you're about to get out of the situation, like really like slickly.
So agriculture ninja is trying to distract the mutants because he's on the other side of the bridge. He wants them to get into the reactor. So the mutants are kind of coming towards him, while your man and genetic ninja are doing what they need to do. I don't really know what happens with the reactor.
They're trying to reset the reactor.
Did they manage to reset the reactor?
They reset the reactor, and that causes a bunch
of
it
cannibals
kills
to
things. Explode.
Yeah.
It causes a bunch of them to explode because the reactor kind of shoots out some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's handy for a while. And then they have to run away.
Yes. And then we get to a point with, as Wikipedia reminds me, because I had a wee look here, but a really good fight scene between Chief Mutant Leader, Skullface, and Ninja Agriculture Man
Farmer Ninja.
have a wee fight, just the pair of them, like one-on-one, to the point where like Mutant Chief throws him his weapon back.
Yeah, he's like, I want to fight. He's like, here's a weapon. Let's duel, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
These were some of the more enjoyable sequences.
Yeah, I really liked that. I like in that bit, and I was like, he's giving him a weapon. Oh, and then they just they like go nuts at it. Yeah, that one's a good one.
Quite enjoyed.
I think that was my favorite scene.
Yeah.
I quite liked that. I quite liked the imagery of that scary mutant. I liked his face.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his face. And it reminded me as well of Predators.
It was
where,
very
like,
predatory.
Yeah, in Predators, where have you seen Predators? But like, there's that scene where they're actually going to have a proper fighty thing. So it's like, I want to take you, but you being a badass, because this is about competition, and I don't want to take you while you're down.
Well,
you seem like you're capable. Let's do this.
Predator 2.
Predator 2?
Yeah, well, Predator as well.
Oh, Predator 2. Predator.
No, Predator. Yeah. This is confusing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the first one as well, because he takes his mask off and disarms himself. And
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all really cool. And then he manages, Agriculture Ninja comes out on top.
Does,
but
even
then,
though he gets a bit gnawed, he gets his bowels a bit gnawed on.
Oh yeah, like a little bit very just like, oh, that was great. At that stage I was like, physically that was hard to watch, just someone biting at your gut region.
That's, grim.
And then the end of my favorite scene, this was actually my favorite scene, when like child mutant arrives.
Oh, sneaky child mutant. Oh yeah, that was good.
Cute, tiny child mutant, like
doing the little like, oh, I'm a cute little child mutant. Like, look how defenseless I am.
And
cuts his throat.
Yeah. Oh,
just cuts his throat.
But then with this little like face of like gleamy joy, it's just like, yeah, fucked you up, mate. And then just starts.
This is what I'm for.
Yeah, gross.
So at this point, Genetics Ninja and Ben Foster, Willie Captain, are running away.
Yep.
And Leland traps them in between two doors at one point.
Yeah.
And that's right. So Leland reaches Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
And Dennis Quaid has just had a fight with Lieutenant Gallo.
Yeah.
And this is where we kind of get the realization that he and Lieutenant Gallo, there's something weird going on.
Mm-hmm.
Their arms kind of merge together.
Yeah, they're fighting, and then there's arms, and you can see they've both got the separate arms with the tattoos, and then it's just like, and then your arms.
And then when he actually stabs the sedative into Lieutenant Gallo, he just vanishes.
Well, look, before that, but he'd actually pushed Gallo into a pod, because Gallo was like, we need to escape. We
need to
go off the ship. And it was like a memory of the Pandorum before, of like, everyone would be better off if we just ship them out.
I didn't interpret it that way. I interpreted, so what's becoming clear by the fact that they've both had nosebleeds for the past half an hour of the film is that they're one and the same person.
They are one and the same person.
And my interpretation was that Lieutenant Gallo was kind of his sane side, because of what happens later, ejecting the pods is quite a good idea.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah. And also the other things he said, like, maybe you should give the sedative to yourself. Maybe you need to calm down.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of him saying things that when you reinterpret them later are actually him talking Dennis Quaid down.
Yeah.
Because Dennis Quaid's actually the one who needs to be talked down, I think, of the two of them.
Of themselves.
of the self of him.
Yeah. Okay.
So Leland turns up, finds Dennis Quaid, who's just had this fight with himself,
Yes.
and Dennis Quaid shoots him in the eye with the tranquilizer.
And it's like, it's gross as well. And then they just zoom and you see this like big puffy eye. Like, that was gross.
Real big. It was gross.
It was real gross.
And then he saunters off because the power's back on because the reactor's been fixed. So he goes to have a wee creepy sit on the bridge.
Assume that like he'd already killed Gallo, and this whole thing was with Gallo was just like playing out in his head. I don't know. Anyway, it's not important.
No, he was Gallo. Gallo killed Peyton.
Okay.
Peyton was never a thing.
I understand it. And I was like, so sorry. What happened was in that stage in the movie, I was just like, wait, so he's killed Gallo and then there's the reveal. No, you're right. I did watch the whole movie. Don't worry about it. I'm just like replaying Sophie's thoughts just before that stage in the movie, going like, yeah, anyway, it's fine. I'm back.
So then my man Ben Foster and Genetic Ninja get back to where Dennis Quaid was, get to the bridge for the first time.
Yeah.
And they find Dennis Quaid having a wee creepy sit.
Just like but that's exactly what it is. He's just being creepy in his chair in silence. And then you look around and there's just Dennis Wade? No. Quaid sitting in his chair, not doing anything.
I didn't quite understand. Ben Foster has already worked out that he's not his lieutenant and that he's someone else.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand how.
I don't know how. No, I don't know how. No, because like the reason he thought it was because he was in Peyton's whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't know how.
Remembers who his lieutenant is and knows that guy is not him.
The only thing, what I said to Dave afterwards was there is a moment at some point in the film where they find a tube that has Peyton's name on it, but it's like his wife. So Peyton's wife was a crew member too. And I think, I could be wrong, but what I took from that, but it might be my brain extrapolating, was that that brought a memory to him, that actually he then remembered Peyton's wife, and then in realizing Peyton's wife remembered Peyton. That's all I went, but 10 years, that was because there was a weird.
If you're gonna do that, why not just find the body of Lieutenant Peyton?
Because it's probably been eaten.
But you could find his pod but it doesn't have to have been, because there were lots of unwoken people. One of them could have been Lieutenant Peyton.
Oh, you mean in the film?
Yeah, I mean, if you were writing the film
and you need to
give this reveal, why not just find Peyton's dead body?
I don't know. I think they were trying to make it was more convoluted than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Because then that was when, as I said, Sophie had that flashback to him going, and what about your wife?
Yeah.
And him, having that clumsy kind of oh yeah, of course. Like what? Yeah. So anyway, we're on the bridge. We've lost Ninja Agriculture Man. We have lost Chef. We have lost one part of Gallo, maybe the same part of Gallo.
Yeah, the young part from Twilight.
Peyton was never in this film.
Yeah.
No,
so we're just left with Crazy Gallo, Ninja Geneticist, and your man.
Yes. So at this point, Dennis Quaid provides the final bit of exposition, which is that he is Gallo, and he clearly went a bit mental.
Yeah.
When
a little bit
mental when he got the news of Earth's destruction, the Godspeed and God bless message, and has since been playing people off each other for quite a long period of time.
Because remember, Leland kind of told us that, where the guy made everyone fight each other, and then he went back to sleep in his little thing, the king or whatever, and then it's just so we've actually been talking about Dennis Quaid / Peyton / not Peyton Gallo this whole time. Yeah.
And then he kind of does this come to the dark side speech.
Yeah, because he opens, so he freaks out your man because he opens up.
The shutters.
Where the hell are we? And he opens up the shutters and they can't see any stars. It's just blackness. They can't see anything. And so Dennis Quaid's Gallo is doing this whole, well, we're just kind of lost. We're not anywhere. It doesn't matter. Everything's gone.
And he does this kind of like, oh, is Pandorum really a mental illness, or is it really a sense of clarity? Like maybe the void is everything. He basically gives this nihilistic conversion speech.
Yeah.
Ben Foster, which is reasonably convincing. Like it was a pretty good bit of I'm a baddie who doesn't know he's a baddie bit of speech.
And Foster's already having issues because at one point during earlier scene, he's realized that his wife isn't on the ship, or his partner's on, and that she didn't want to leave Earth.
Yeah.
And so she is dead. She is dead. She has died with Earth becoming destroyed and whoever it is destroyed. And so he's already had that kind of shock. And it's like they say that Pandorum can be triggered by a shocking experience as well. So he's had that, and then to have the discovery that he doesn't have a clue where they are, and that they can't see stars, like that's a lot. So
it's a bit.
It's the crazy, I think.
So he has a bit of a moment while Dennis Quaid's giving him this Pandorum speech, this come to the dark side speech. He has a bit of a Pandorum moment where he doesn't know what's real, and he sees the descent monsters coming in, and he sees them coming in from a panel on the side. So he shoots the panel with his gun, and then he kind of comes to and realizes that the panel has pinged off and hit the window of the bridge, which has cracked, which lets water in. So now they have to run again because there's water coming in.
But before that point,
before that you zoom back in your eyes,
because while he's desperately trying to cling to his sanity, he keeps yelling to Ninja Geneticist, "Where are we? Where are we? Where are we?" And she's like doing her best, and she's looking a bit panicky as he's like veering on the edge of madness, and he keeps yelling at her, and they realize that they've been on this ship such a long time, not the 123 years
so
they've been on.
And they see sea creatures, and in fact,
they're
on the bottom of the sea.
It's like they landed on like Tandis, whatever it's called, but like they crashed in the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
And they've been just hanging out in the ocean for like a while.
For almost 1,000 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then you're right. So your man thinks that there's a creature coming in, and is hallucinating.
And then he shoots it, and then
that's when the water starts coming in.
It's not the vastness of space that's going to penetrate. It's just like fucking ocean that's going to drown them all. So
your man and Ninja Geneticists go running to get into a pod.
Yeah.
To try and escape. I guess Dennis Quaid's Gallo drowns.
I think so.
I presume so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's this really quite kind of awesome shot where all this water kind of collapses behind him and then it like overwhelms him. I thought that was really effective, actually. I thought that was a good one.
And then there's that scene as they're moving up through the water, and she's
because the hull has been breached. There's an automatic like eject the fucking pods.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
And they've got like one oxygen thing between them. She seems to have it most of the time.
Yeah, they don't share it.
They don't share it, which
He puts it on her, and then it looks like that she's dead, but she's not. She's just like, because it's like it's just on her, but she's all like unconscious looking. But I think like maybe that's what happens when you put one of those masks in the pod on you. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could be. Maybe it's got like a sedative in it.
Because when he takes it off her, like she's awake like pretty fucking instantly, right? So it's that thing where it's just like, oh well, like if the mask isn't working on her, take it off and put it on yourself, you idiot. But then he seemed to be in charge of the situation.
I don't think the people that wrote this film are pharmacologists. Let's just say that.
So then they pop out. They're on top of the water.
I like that when the pod pops up and then it ejects the side off. So because just think about this, these are pods that like normally you'd eject in space. Why automatically does the side of it pop off after you've been ejected? Like, so here it's like, yes, they've popped up, they're floating on the ocean. The top pops up, we can breathe, it's great. But you're like, if you're in space, don't just pop the side off that pod. Keep that side on the pod. Does it know it's water? Is this a smart pod?
It could just be a positive versus a negative pressure sensor.
Okay.
Positive pressure, pop off.
Or maybe it's just a
Negative pressure.
science pod that's already detected that the atmosphere is acceptable for the things.
All right, I'll give it that maybe.
It's been trained with an artificial intelligence algorithm.
To be racist.
Also to, you know, like knock out women when they get given the mask and allow men to breathe underwater until the pod, like, I don't know, like it's...
Because there's a bit where you actively see that he can't get his face any higher above the water, but like, and that's when in a movie I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I hold my breath.
That was something I didn't understand because the pod shuts and the water's
watertight apparently.
It's up to about here, yeah, and it's like the water keeps coming up and it's like, that's not how water works.
But also that's not how like these fucking pods work. Because if that was a fucking emergency evacuation pod and you're shooting into space, it needs to be sealed and airtight. What this is suggesting is that this is not sealed and airtight. Like, what?
And if it was not watertight, the air inside the pod would expand. So if anything, the water would be forced out.
Yeah. Unless there's extra holes and the pressure of the water is pushing. And there's like, we've got to hold, there's the only way to get that thing filled with water is if there's like
full of holes.
Is be full of holes and the water pressure coming in is enough to push the air out. Because you're right, but that water pressure would keep the air in there.
It would be a really weird way to design a pod, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, the pod pops up, they land on the surface of the ocean, the thing pops out, they can breathe, and then and I thought like it was a bit cute, and then they like look around and then you see all of these other pods being like ejected and a bunch of them pop up and land on that, and you're just like, oh, not everyone died.
Well, yeah, because
that's how you wake up. You know, like, he was traumatized waking up in the ship, and like you woke up, like you're shocked, you don't remember anything, and you're just like in an ocean with a crashed spacecraft, and all those other people being like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they haven't died because they've only just been exposed to the alien bacteria that are going to kill them in a couple of weeks' time.
Sure.
So yeah, it emerges that, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think you said like because there's a hull breach on the bridge, which fills everything with water. There's this automatic eject sequence. So everyone fucking ejects. And
then
we zoom out.
The mutants die.
Yeah,
maybe.
the mutants
They're
don't.
left. They're
not.
not.
They weren't in pods. They were just in the ship, right?
So then we zoom out, and then we've got Tanis day one in a kind of bracketing of the film. We had at the start like Earth 1960, whatever it was.
This thing, then we did this thing, then we did this. Yeah.
And we got Tanis year one, population 12,000 odd, and that's the end of the film.
Tanis looked nice.
Tanis looked lovely, didn't it? We had a waterfall.
I was like, the waterfall was pretty. You know, it's like that whole. I hope they saved all those fucking plants and specimens from inside the sunken spaceship, because like, what are you gonna fucking eat?
Yeah, hopefully there's something for eating.
But yeah,
there's sea creatures.
Oh, they could. Oh yeah, they were there because we saw the sea creatures. They were big and a bit scary looking. Yeah, spear them.
Yeah.
So you didn't love it?
I will be more strong in my opinion than Sophie, which was didn't love it, didn't hate it. I really disliked it.
Sure.
Yeah,
I didn't get quite to. I didn't get quite to dislike. I think I was close, but it was still there were enough things that I appreciated that I was like, I appreciate you. I don't appreciate these other things. On average, you are in neutral.
I think the boredom really got to me. I
was thinking, it was when you said in the beginning where like you were just bored for that first bit of it. I feel like for me at least there was like enough intrigue that I wasn't bored, because I was like, all right, explain yourself, motherfuckers. I just sat there going like, explain yourself. What is this about? Tell me the thing. I know you're going to tell me the thing eventually. When you're going to tell me the thing? So I think at least I think if I'd had the boredom, then I can understand how you possibly disliked. Yeah.
Okay, so there were some various things for me. So there was the boredom. There was all the senior men and one token ninja woman that was there to be his love interest at the end, which was where my brain went, because now they're
they didn't have a kiss.
No, I know, but it was.
I presume they were going to repopulate.
My feeling there be two of them left. So you're right. There was not a kiss, but it was also
a planet with two people.
No, I know that's gross.
We can, but you've got some real genetic problems.
Yeah, big genetic problems.
So
huge.
But I didn't like that. that we're future space and we have one ninja biologist. And I don't know, and even like him, I say this to you during it too, where that him jumping between looking for his girlfriend versus getting the ship on track when he'd been awake for like 2 or 3 hours. I basically said to Dave, I was like, seriously, in that situation, when that arises, just don't wake me up. Just don't wake me up. Like, go and get the ship sorted and whatnot. I don't really want to be woken up to be eaten. And there is that horrible scene in the film where someone does wake up in their pod to be immediately eaten.
Yeah, when they're telling the story about how the guy went crazy, killed the 2 people, and then started like letting people out. And yeah, you cut to this woman, and it's not nice.
No, it's just like, I mean, that's not pleasant, but it's like, I'm not awake scared to death in a ship that's not going anywhere that you're trying to find me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I am not your priority. I am not your priority.
Dave, just remember that if you're ever in this situation, you leave Karen in her pod.
All right.
Also, you'll be with Bauer, and you know, like, I can't compete with that.
Walking about in our Y-fronts together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be wearing a t-shirt.
So yeah, I think it was ultimately very disappointing with some stuff that you're right. Like, I think there had some good elements, and I think when I thought, ooh, Descent in space, I think that was also problematic for me because you know how much I love the Descent.
You got excited. Whereas I went Event Horizon, and then I was like, this isn't Event Horizon. That was my problem. I love Event Horizon. Sam Neill with those eyeballs. Oh, it's cute. It's just so cute.
And also, it didn't scare me. I did have a couple of jumps, but it didn't scare me, and mostly I was bored. And I don't know if you also predicted it. You were like, oh, he is Gallo. Dave said that
really?
so early in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, once they both had nosebleeds, I was like, yeah. And also just that thing of like, same with Event Horizon, where it's like, yeah, sure, Lawrence Fishburne is there, but it was pre-Matrix Lawrence Fishburne. And like Sam Neill is there, and it's like, why the fuck is Sam Neill in this film? It's like, oh, because you are hugely important to the plot all of a sudden.
Yeah. Why is this guy here?
They're like, why the fuck is Dennis Quaid here? Oh, okay. Yes, I see.
Because otherwise he's just sitting there being like, I want to get to the bridge. And it's like, we get it, Dennis Quaid. You want to get to the bridge. You love a bridge. Like, fine.
I didn't hate the film. I thought it was a bit of a romp. I mean, I had a couple of problems with it. My biggest problem with it is, and it
exists?
No, that's not what it was.
Sorry.
It's a bit of a bugbear of mine, but like it features astronauts and scientists that don't seem that intelligent.
Really thick.
And that's fine. Like, there are sci-fi movies.
Is it, Dave? I feel like you've got to be smart to do some things sometimes.
I feel like movies like Alien present that kind of world where it's like you don't have to be super intelligent in order to be in space, but it suggests a level of automation that means, you know, if it's that automated that you don't have to be that smart to be there, then you probably don't have to go all the way down to a reactor and push some buttons to do something.
You put a panel on the wall, put in the code, reset reactor, do this thing, 5, 4, 3, 2, like it does your eye, and you put some thumbs on and the thing. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you can have one of those things, but not both of those things.
Yeah, okay.
That bugged me. I really liked the sets. I thought the sets on the film were all really impressive and really good. I liked the ship. I thought the ship.
I thought that's good. Yeah, I agree with that.
It looked really nice. It looked very of a time. Like it looked like a Paul W.S. Anderson film, and it looked like Event Horizon. It looked like those movies.
Yeah.
And the monsters were very good.
Monsters were great. Yeah. So
you Descent Resident Evil love child monsters. I feel like I firmly sit between you two. I think.
I remembered I actually forgot what's the main reason that I didn't like it, Sophie, was like, you know, when I don't care about anyone.
Yeah.
I didn't care about anyone. Maybe the ninja geneticist and the ninja.
Yeah, but I understand that. Like I love a zombie, and everyone's like, go watch The Walking Dead. And I was like, no worries. And I made myself watch the first season of The Walking Dead. And I watched the first episode of the second season. I got 5 minutes and I was like, I don't give a shit what happens to any of these people. And I turned it off and I walked away and I never went back. So I was like, no one is endearing. Like if no one is endearing, I'm not emotionally connected to anyone. It's like whatever space problem.
And I think that started off so badly. And I think having seen the films we've seen recently where like all it takes is like a nice brief moment between two characters that could have been established with Quaid and Bauer. Quaid and Bauer. It is Quaid and your man early on. It just didn't happen. So like I didn't care. I think that's also why I got so bored at the start. I didn't care what happened to either of them. And then when it was monsters, I kind of was rooting for the monsters. I wanted some gory death.
But you know what? It's not their fault they're here.
Yeah.
True.
And they're just hungry.
They're just hungry and they're just doing what they know. And that's to breed and eat people and themselves. That's all they know. That's all they know.
So, I mean, I think also it's just sad that the child monster fully drowned.
Yeah, child monster is dead, Karen.
I felt like they kind of set it up for a sequel.
Oh, I hope there's not a sequel.
I don't think there is. I think it would have happened by now, but I feel like there was an opportunity.
You wait. I bet you there's a fucking sequel. There's always a
I
sequel.
think it's a straight to DVD sequel.
I accidentally wrote 3, so let me try right. Pandorum 2 trailer.
Really?
Will there be a 2? Oh, okay, interesting. So if you look up Pandorum 2, there's a video that claims to be the Pandorum 2 trailer, but then there's no evidence of Pandorum 2 except for a quote on IMDb. Quote on Pandorum 2. Obviously, any kind of sequel is contingent on how well the film does, but it does seem like the film's creators, blah, blah, blah. Says Quaid, there is a prequel and a sequel, but that was in 2009.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're fine.
So Sophie, you were between Dave and I.
Yeah.
What were its redeeming features for you?
I think that there were like one, like, I loved the sets. I thought it was like, it was like very engrossing, like the way that it was like, feel like you get right into it. I thought there were like some really charming moments. Like we've talked about like different scenes that were like, that was like very, very nice. But also I just fucking love sci-fi. So like, I think I wanted it to be, I was like, it's like in like Game of Thrones when everyone was being super critical at the very end. And I was like, guys, it's different now. It's like, it used to be like really like character driven and now it's plot driven and like this is why it's different and like everyone's just like slamming it. And then it got to like the last episode and I was like, fuck you guys, I've been defending you all this season, you've shat all over everything. But it was like a little bit like that where I was like, look, it's like sci-fi horror, like it's a very specific thing, like it's just, you know. And so I think I like the genre enough that I just kept giving it like free passes, even though I was like getting more and more like, this is dumb. But also it's just, I thought, yeah, I liked the monsters or the mutants or whatever. I liked, as Dave said, like all of like the sets. I thought like some of the shots are a little bit clumsy. Like there were bits where we do a lot of like zooming into someone's face and then zooming into someone's face and then I thought like that was a bit, but I just, you know, I thought like the twist, which didn't feel so much like a twist at the end because like it had all become like very obvious. I thought it was interesting, like it was trying to be interesting and it was trying to be a bit different, and they had like a good whack at it and they missed on like a lot of levels, but I feel like they hit it on some levels. Like that's probably how I feel about Pandorum.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were a lot of nice ideas in it. But
Yeah,
you're right. Maybe some didn't come off, but
again, that's the frustrating thing is when it's got nice ideas and you're like, I really wish it had been done better. Also, what I love is, so Dave pulled up the Wikipedia here and the tagline for the poster of the movie is "Fear what happens next." Yeah, I think if I saw that, I wouldn't want to watch it.
to be honest, I feel like this isn't, if I had seen it advertised like that, I probably would not. No, I was gonna say I wouldn't have seen it at the cinema, but let's be honest, I'll see anything at the cinema.
Fear the movie you haven't seen yet, as opposed to the one you have.
Yeah.
Look, I think, like you, Sophie, though, I really do like a sci-fi, and I like a sci-fi. But yeah, it was just disappointing. Anyway, that was done. I think, whose turn is it? Is it me?
I don't think, no, I was last week, so it must be you.
Okay, I can't get over here.
Which is why I have not bothered to open any kind of spreadsheet. I'm
Okay.
enjoying the ride.
My spreadsheet is far too long. What do I want to watch?
It was really funny. I was thinking about adding a couple of movies the other day, and I went, let's just check in case they might be on Karen's list, and they were, so it was fine. I didn't add them.
Oh wow, what do I want to watch? God, there's so many. What am I doing? Is it this one I wanted to watch? Oh no, I want to watch this. I've not seen this for a while. I'd like to watch Raw. Have you seen Raw, Sophie?
I don't know. Let me have a little Google.
Google.
Okay, this will be one where I don't know if I've seen it, and it will become like it. Reading the synopsis, I'm like, this is very familiar, but is it familiar just because I know of it, or is it familiar because I've seen it? So this will be fun. This will be one of those like, did Sophie in the past watch it? Has she forgotten, or has she not?
So I have seen it, but I liked it, and I want to do a Sophie this week.
You're gonna do a Sophie. You're gonna bring something back from the past, and either be delighted or horribly disappointed. Like
I want to see if it lived up to my enjoyment of it before. So let's watch Raw next week.
All right, sounds perfect.
All right.
Raw. Good job,
Thanks, team.
everyone.